Toscano, Josue Pavon, Bobby Manning.
What up?
All of whom were
Got a
not
dub.
here last time, are here this
We're all
time.
banged in.
Oh, so we're
Hey.
going in.
They missed
Hey,
the last
Pull the
one.
Jimmy.
I don't get the weekend rate, so
You left me and Sherrod with a 19-point blown lead.
yeah, that was a tough one.
And here
On
we
a
are
Saturday,
back
out
with
of
some
that.
good stuff to assess.
Yeah, you had plenty.
I got a kick out of
it's-
that when I saw how that game ended. I said, "Wow, that must have been an interesting Boomer's
the-
only show."
It was the Enes Kanter hour. Is the Enes Kanter show tonight?
Yes, it is. He gets his
Enes
due.
versus Taco, just like we all predicted.
My dream matchup.
Yeah,
It was good to see Taco.
yeah.
I'll never
They tried
forgive
the Celtics wrinkle.
I'll never forgive the Celtics for not making it work.
Bastards.
Of course,
Bastards.
Never forgive them.
So we're here. We're talking. I said it after the loss on
I like talking.
Saturday. I said 2 out of 3 against Cleveland for Boston teams this weekend would be good, and that's what we got. Okay, we'll take it.
I didn't even think of that overlap. That's fine.
Yep. We'll take it.
Did you
We'll
say that
take it.
before the loss or after?
I said it
Cavs
after.
are a good team. So you come out of this, it's rare. I mean, Sherrod has his cadavers line. You're not used to coming out of Cleveland with a split saying, "Oh, that was great."
It's not
but
Sherrod's line.
I think
That's what they were called for a generation. The Cavaliers.
He's the only one I've heard say it in my
Oh
lifetime.
yeah, that's an old one.
That was
I'm
An oldie but goodie. Oldie but
He-
goodie.
I'm
reached deep
a
for that one.
LeBron lifer, pretty much. 5 years
No.
old when he came into the league.
Prior to that, the Cavaliers.
So
An absolute joke.
How old are you? 12?
it's a tough defense that you're going up against here, and you saw it in the final score. More of a defensive
I
game
hope so.
tonight.
Or
Evan
else-
Mobley has been
or else
lighting
the
teams
offense has
up. You
problems,
completely
yeah.
shut him out. Ricky Rubio, you withstood his runs. Shut down Garland by all intents and measures, I thought. Just a solid win here all around. And, Tatum got going into that second half after another slow start. The final line doesn't look good, but I think second half numbers for him will end up looking decent. I'll pull them
I
up
think
in
he
just
started
a
to go to
second
the
here.
basket a little more in the second half.
Yes.
Tatum did,
Total
yeah.
approach
Sure.
by this team, too. Early in games,
Everybody
you're seeing them
did.
spot up too much. Marcus Smart did the same thing. So overall, it got dicey at the end. But I just think there's another solid win by a team that just kind of has to pick them up wherever they can in a tough conference this year.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
snap
considering the
judgment.
circumstances-
First takeaway. What was it for tonight? Because I have one, but you guys go.
I was gonna say, yeah, Tatum, he did the right things down the stretch, right? Especially for a guy who was struggling. I thought this team responded well in the fact that they were playing without Robert Williams, who I thought made a big impact in the first half, whether it's just the rebounding and creating that second chance opportunity, or just the overall apparent being in the on the defensive end of things and applying that pressure. But then down the stretch, obviously they had to go deep into the bench. You saw someone like ENES Kanter be productive out there. I thought guys off the bench were sort of giving them that energy that they needed, especially in the second half. And you look at Cleveland, someone like Rubio, when you look at the way this defense, Ime Udoka's defense is, and the way the Celtics approach, opposing teams, Rubio is that guy that could just sort of cut through and get to the lane. He sort of can squeeze through the cracks, so to speak, right? It's almost as if Dennis Schroeder wasn't on the Celtics, he would eat that defense up. You know what I mean? And I thought the Celtics did a good job of adjusting, but if it's not Rubio, if it's a better team, I don't know if they survive this one. So again, considering the circumstances, I'm going to say it's a solid win, but it could have went south easily.
Do they win if Denzel Valentine's foot is inbounds? Do they win? I don't know.
Maybe they go to overtime. I don't know. I don't know if they win, Bobby. Honestly, that was a big turnover. Honestly, that was the last made basket that the defense allowed. So you got to give them credit for at least stringing together defensive stops, but it wasn't pretty. It wasn't.
Yeah, and Cavs on a great offense. I don't give the defense a ton of credit for this one. Horford was awesome. They showed the graphic, too, that he's second in the contested shots behind Mobley. Right. But Mobley has taken over some games, and I thought he was big in the Saturday win. Took it to Rob a little bit. They put Al on him to start this game, and he completely shut him out for the entirety of it. And Horford just continues to be sensational in so many aspects. Finally hit some threes tonight. I mean, still, to me, the MVP of this team right now is Al Horford in the rebounding department, in the scoring game when they need him to get going in that regard. Like, he's doing some things, I said to start this year, that you didn't even see him do last time around here. Never mind matching it, as he has in many ways. 2 icing buckets from Schroeder down the stretch. I thought Smart was good in the second half, getting to the basket. Grant had a big game, from the shooting department, and Richardson, again, solid. So you're starting to carve out a little bit of a rotation here, I think. And then when Rob goes down, you get some good minutes from Cantor. They didn't start great, but once he got a rhythm into that fourth, I thought that made a big difference. It was
that's not making Celtics fans excited, though. None of this is making them excited, Bobby.
Free ENES, okay? Those are my new T-shirt. Free ENES.
We're gonna get a Cantor podium.
Free to bet and free ENES.
Free to bet, free ENES. Oh, we're off the air in China.
Don't say that, John.
Oh, true. There it goes.
We are off the air.
I'm ready.
If we have Celtics in our URL, then we're probably already off the air to begin with.
Yeah, it's all fun and games until tomorrow morning the YouTube channel's taken down. Right.
Yep. Listen, context aside, there's going to be an article tomorrow about how the Celtics responded to the criticism and finally put Cantor in a game. Some people are going to be taking credit.
And you're going to write it.
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations.
I know there's going to be an article because that's what I'm writing. Very quickly, we can look at the whole arc of the game, and the first half was just just nausea-inducing. Just really hard to watch basketball.
38-39 at halftime. You don't like that? No.
Things picked
There's
up.
Some throwback scores this year,
interesting.
huh?
Extremely interesting to me was the key possessions down the stretch. What was the one thing you noticed didn't happen? And very shocking for Celtics late game offense.
No 3-point checking.
Not just that.
The ball.
The three key buckets down the stretch, the 3 possessions that the Celtics had, who did not touch the ball a single time?
Oh, Smart.
Jason Tatum.
Nope. Jason Tatum.
Not a single touch on any of those. You had the nice pick and roll action there, which, oh my goodness, thank God, a non-ISO play late in the game when you needed a critical bucket.
I noticed that too, John. Like, there was some movement.
And you had some movement. You ran that pick and roll, and he found Horford, and that was great.
That was a great pass.
Great pass, but great find, and it was just that's basketball. You want to see more of that. You want to see them running some actions, running some plays, not just ISOing. Then Schroeder just literally blew by his guy like he was standing up. So I won't even call that an ISO possession. He just got it and boom. And then the third one, he had Tatum in the corner, and again, he kind of looks him off, does his little thing, turns around, hits the fall away, boom, that was it. That was enough of a spread but Tatum, the next time he touched the ball was, and he grabbed the defensive rebound and started dribbling up half court. And he's like, someone fouled me so I can get some points late. No, that's not why, but that's literally it. The only time he touched the ball was when he grabbed that board, but he didn't touch it on any of those half court sets.
Well, 5-assist game too.
You know what? That was sort of like Dennis kind of taking over in a situation. And I hope Neesmith was watching that second scoring possession from Schroeder, because that's your classic NBA change of pace, changing speeds up. He's walking with the ball slowly, and then all of a sudden just bursts on the Jets, blows by his defender, and gets a layup. Neesmith just goes 100 miles an hour at all times, so doesn't really get the defender off balance like that. So, that was a nice veteran move by Schroeder. Like everyone already said, he kind of saved the game for them in the end and kept that lead that the Celtics had. Yep. Prior to that, I thought it was one of those just like ugly defensive team wins that we'll never probably think about this game when you think about all 82 at the end of the season. This is probably going to be one of the least memorable ones.
Nope. Yeah, exactly.
Like it never happened. It literally never happened this game. But it's a good win because it was on the road. You're coming off a bad loss from the same team. Good response. And again, you didn't have a good shooting game from really anybody, but especially Tatum.
You're missing 2 starters in the second half.
Yeah, you're missing Rob. Obviously, you're missing Jalen. I thought, Bobby touched on it already, but you had some nice help from Richardson. Grant hit some big shots. And those are the plays, and those are the players that are going to need to step up in bits and pieces to win a game like this, where it's still you couldn't crack 100, but you got just enough from the depth on your roster to squeak by against, I think, a solid NBA team.
Yeah. On the topic of Tatum, and it's again, and Jimmy, I know we went over this, back and forth with, you defended him and this and that. Like, I'm going back to that again.
You did.
I do believe that, what I had said and what we're talking about there, I think Tatum's really, really still trying. I think you actually see the difference in his game with seeing him up his effort on defense and other places. I think he's trying.
I never said he wasn't trying.
I think he's trying to do well. It's the struggles are just unfathomable. He passed up a few threes he takes automatically before, regular, and he just swung the ball. He's definitely in his own head right now because he just doesn't know why it's not going in. He passed up shots I don't expect him to pass up a little bit.
He missed shots you don't expect him to miss. So I think he's thinking, you know what? I'm just gonna pass this one up right now because for whatever reason. I mean, he missed some open ones tonight too. You can tell that even the broadcast knows it because he'll miss the shot. And, it's just kind of silence. You know what I mean? It's almost understood. Wow, this guy is really going through it right now.
Right.
And it was just it's a slump. It's an official.
I thought
slump.
about this during the game. Doesn't some of his shots almost look like what we saw from Kemba last year? Not great balance, bouncing off the back rim. Not really all that close to going in. It's not like balls are rimming out. And just a lot of bad luck. He's missing
left and right. And I mean,
I think it was the Saturday game. He hit one off the backboard. He does not have a great base or control on his shot right now, which is concerning. I know going into this game about a quarter or two in, I did the numbers. He's 38% over the last 4 or 5 games. Just remarkably below his normal production.
I mean, that's his season. That's where he is right now. He's 5 points lower than what he is, on 2s and 3s. He's 5.
So you talk a lot. You talk a lot, John, about
his career lows, not his career numbers.
So you talk a lot, John, about defenses figuring him out and just his approach and just all kinds of things intrinsic to Tatum. But we've been watching him for 4 years now before this, and this isn't him. I mean, he's not a great efficiency player throughout his career, but this is a step worse for him, and it makes me think about the health. Ime's not answering those questions, but you see the bike. You just see the base on his shot. It makes me think about it.
Who here thinks it's mental?
In terms of if we're talking health in the sense of the added muscle, yes, but I don't think it's a matter of he's hurt. I think it's the added muscle.
So you think the muscle's impacting him?
I think the muscles impacting him, his shot especially, and I think that's what's been knocking him off a bit. And of course, the losing, the inconsistency of this team, that's not going to help at all. But I think what we saw differently tonight was not only his approach in trying to get to the rim and getting the ball, attacking the defense, but also you saw his teammates setting him up with lead passes in open spaces. And I think that's a huge that's something to keep an eye on for Tatum. He's got to have his teammates help him out as well. As much as we talk about, he's got to swing that ball around and make sure that guys that have the open looks get those touches. Guys have to make sure that they put him in situations to succeed. And I thought that they did a really good job with that, especially Marcus Smart. There was one play in particular where Tatum takes off as soon as the steal happens, and Smart sees him right away. Great lead pass. Tatum jogs up a couple of steps. The ball's right there waiting for him for an easy 2. He followed that up with the take to the rim. He got to the free throw line. All that adds up, and I do think the shot's going to fall eventually. I mean, he's a good shooter. That's gonna work itself out. But I do think that the added muscle is what we're looking at. Some people could talk about the new basketball. I don't know if that's quite it, but it's also the mental sense and the pressure and not having Jalen out there. Look, Bobby, you talked about it too, and we said it here the last time we were all on. The opposing defense's approach on Tatum, it's much easier now, right? Before it was Tatum and Brown. It's just Tatum out there right now. So I think that's also that pressure that he's seeing, every single game. It has a lot to do with it as well. It's all relative.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
This is me leaving. I'll be right back. Nothing personal.
When you speak about the mental
kids table at Thanksgiving.
That's become a big analogy.
He better have some sound when he gets back. I want to hear some Tatum, some hot takes or some hot quotes from
he might be doing some numbers. He might be doing the Josue Carson Edwards numbers. Remember?
You guys really think? I mean, I feel like we're really reaching here to say, oh, Tatum's muscle that he put on is really throwing off his shot this much.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying is the knee bothering him? We saw him grabbing it.
I think it's a shooting slump. I think it's a slump. I think it might be
a season-long one. 10 of 12 games.
I don't know if every game I would say was a bad game for him, but I mean the numbers, generally speaking, the numbers are down. So I understand where you're coming from, but I refuse to say, he's too strong to shoot the basketball into the hoop now. I just don't think that is what it is. I mean,
I hate that too, Jimmy.
Okay. Oh, you
He's
here the whole time?
he's like 2% bigger. Like, what are we talking about?
Right.
Like,
He's
this
not
is
like on an
not some-
HGH like routine.
He's not right. He doesn't look like right. He just swallowed a bunch of friggin',
Oh, come
steroids
on.
in the
You were
offseason.
saying that last
He's
summer when you were posting the
literally-
pictures.
Depends what
He's
picture you're looking
literally-
at, John.
He's 2% bigger. He's not that much bigger than last year.
But this is
He has
coming
the
from the
same-
same John who was posting shirtless photos when we're doing the offseason
That was
He's
edition.
stronger,
reviews.
but listen, he's stronger, but it's not like
John did
he's
about 4 Tatum's Jack
completely
episodes.
By
different
the way,
person, like trying to
we
get
joked
comfortable
about
in his
it,
own
right?
skin again.
We joked about him like oiling up for the Insta
Right.
photos there. He's not that big.
Oh my God, he looked ginormous in that trophy
He's
Photoshop.
not that big. Look at him. Look at
Right? Thank you, Bobby.
His shoulders are a little bit more rounded. His arms maybe a little. This is
I
not enough.
Okay, it's not 50-50. I mean, it's more psychological than anything. It's more mental. But again, I think this team looks different when Jalen's not out there, and he's got to adjust to that. I don't think this team is in trouble without Jalen. Obviously, I don't think any of us think that, but especially against a team like Cleveland.
This is the first time he's the only guy out there that's a threat, right? Because he's had Kyrie, Kemba, other guys in between, of course, Brown the whole way. This is the first time, and Schroeder's, a threat, but they're swapping ball time and isolations there. Everybody's keying in on Tatum. They're okay with Schroeder shooting off the ball. We know they keep Grant wide open. Smart, they beg to take those threes in rotation. And Horford's been pretty poor shooter before tonight, too. So everything's on Tatum to force the pass.
I think
the
Tatum-
mental aspect I think of is that he should be getting more assists facing that kind of pressure. More than 5.
I think Tatum's struggling with the new rules a little bit too, because I think
and Ime has said that.
I think he definitely, put an emphasis on getting to the rim, and he doesn't get the calls that he thinks he should get. Because there's a little bit more let them play mentality. He's probably getting muscled a little bit more. I know there was an emphasis of calling it the same, in addition to the forcing contact thing, which he does quite a bit. And he initiates a lot of his contact, and he's a little bit of a shover and he's a little bit of a leaner. He's not quite James Harden, but he does that. But in addition to that, I know there's a point of emphasis this year about calling things the same on the perimeter as you do under the basket, and so they're letting stuff go a little bit more away from the basket, where normally you get these ticky-tack calls anytime anybody gets tapped a little bit. I just don't think he's playing through that very well. I think he's getting a little bit frustrated, obviously, and I think that's hurt him. But the open shot misses and the bricks and the stuff like that, there's no way that's not mental, like just missing or mechanical, just simply he's got the yips right now. Is there something wrong with the stroke? I mean, this happens, to people. It just doesn't feel pure for him right now. He's guessing, he's thinking, the thing he's done his whole life naturally. Right now, he's like, is this going to work? And he's in his own head with it. You go on a cold streak like this, it's impossible not to be.
Cosign. I mean, I said mental, I said mechanical, but I just don't think it's like, he's it's like when you go to the gym and you lift and then you go down, I'm going to shoot a couple hoops, and then your first couple of shots are just like complete air balls because your arms are all out of sorts. Like, that's not what's going on here.
No,
like,
Jimmy, that's exactly
let's
what
be real.
That's not what's going on here.
No, what's going on?
He
But
lives
let's be
right
real.
before every game, bro. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Do we
Jimmy,
do
I
we
agree,
believe
man. It's not what's going on.
Yeah, so you got the muscle, you got the mental, you got the pressure. But back to the injury thing. Do we believe he's riding the bike to stay warm and loose, and it's part of this new plan to make sure he doesn't get cold sitting on the bench for 3 minutes? I don't.
Here's the thing, Bobby. It seems weird. I agree, but at some point would have been a game missed or pop up on an injury report with something or soreness or tightness or something.
Right.
There's just nothing. There's nothing right now. There's nothing mentioned at all there. You haven't seen him wince. You haven't seen a thing. You haven't seen him favor anything other than riding the bike. There's nothing.
What would riding the bike even do?
Yeah,
Like, if
there's
he was actually
nothing
hurt.
about watching him move on the court that would lead you to believe that
issues.
there's something physically wrong with him. I don't see anything
Right.
physically that like, oh, he looks to be favoring this, or he's just not whatever. He's the same guy missing shots. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I don't have a ton on that. He did take a spill against the Raptors last week. Saw him grabbing the left knee. I asked about it after, and got a pretty vague answer from Ime. So there's just nothing to go off. You're right. Can't guess on those things. It's just so it's so weird to me. It's hard not to think of that because, again, I know you believe this is just him being like a shot or two below his usual inefficient self, but I just the overall volume that we're seeing now, 10 to 12 games. When you jumped off, Jimmy, talking about it just kind of being, an off couple shots per game. I think it's something more, we'll see. But I think everything goes into it. The pressure by Josue is a good point. Like, he has no outlets for shooting on the perimeter, cutters. You saw a little bit more cutting in this game from the likes of Romeo and others, and Tatum actually started cutting a bit, which was refreshing. But there's just no movement or shooting or things to make it easier for him. I think you said on Saturday, John, or maybe Sherrod did, nothing. He gets no easy shots. Yeah. Like, there's nothing easy for him that comes on the floor. A few catch and shoot shots that he should be making. Those are probably the easiest ones you're seeing for him. But overall, it's just tough fadeaways. And some of them are bad shot selections. Like those 2 fadeaways in the half, those are not good shots. So there's a lot of stuff going on here to make this happen.
I like that, Gregory Wilson. Maybe riding the bike is the problem here. Maybe it's throwing off his shot.
Let me ask you this.
He's got tired legs.
Why does everyone hate Tatum now? Like,
he's got the resistance on 10, Jimmy.
I don't love Tatum's game.
Yeah, I think it's just you, man.
No, but I mean, I've never been like, oh my God, Tatum. I've always questioned, why are we so certain he's going to be that next superstar sort of guy? I've never seen it. I've always thought his ceiling is really great scorer, maybe not elite, championship level.
I mean, he's hit that 50 burger a couple times. I mean, I think he's capable of a lot.
Sure, I think he's that guy. He'll do that from time to time. He's going to go on a stretch and he's going to shut everybody up and this and that. But whatever. But right now, there's a ton of get rid of the guy. He's washed. He's being exposed.
Well, I think
Jalen's our best guy. Blah 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 blah. Like, people turn pretty quick.
Well, I think what it is,
he's only 23. He's been in the league for like 7 years. But anyway, go ahead. Not quite.
Tatum's like, when he's playing the way that we've seen him play offensively, like the people who aren't super high on him are just going to kind of remain kind of quiet in the background and kind of waiting for a situation where they can say, okay, this guy sucks, or trade him. And now this is like their real first opportunity. But those people, I think the knock on Tatum from a lot of people.
Bring in mid-range back. I love it.
The knock on Tatum from a lot of people is not really so much what his production is, but it's like his attitude. I don't mean he has a bad attitude. It's just like he's
mopey.
Yeah, he's mopey. He's not like your high intense guy, high motor guy. He's not really firing up his teammates, at least
so when
that
he's
much.
Slumming, people don't feel bad about it. That's true.
So the people who are kind of like fed up with that are kind of waiting for a situation where they can say, okay, well, now the production isn't there. People can't say, like, who cares? Like, he's, as long as he's like playing the way he's supposed to play and scoring and doing his thing, like, that's just who he is. But now they have sort of opportunity to pounce. So I think they are. Those are the people you're hearing from. There's still a lot of Tatum reporters and are obviously out there, but there's just not maybe a whole lot for them to say right now. They're kind of just waiting for this slump to.
It's
to
not.
It
just,
will pass. It
is not just
pass.
me, Kevin. This chat is killing Tatum right now.
Yeah, I've seen. Again, we talk about how much you keep an ear to the chat and the comments and stuff like that, but I do see a lot of like facetious trade Tatum.
It's a lot of what have you done for me lately?
Yeah,
a lot of what have you done for me lately. And at the end of the day, and I've said this is the knock on the Celtics team, is they haven't won anything yet. So this blind loyalty doesn't or shouldn't really exist to the point where you're going to ride or die with these guys and ride it into the ground.
Wait, they haven't won anything? I thought we had this conversation last week about the championship or bust thing. They've won plenty. I mean, this team
they really
won
haven't.
A ton of
they
games.
Really haven't won plenty, Bobby.
Yes, they
you
have.
misunderstood that conversation.
You've been down this road before, man.
We've done this already.
Yeah.
2 Eastern
if you go to the Eastern Conference Finals,
that was not their team, Bobby.
Yes, it was. The 2020 one was definitely their team.
Nothing.
The 2018 one, them, Rozier, and some of the other young guys, plus Horford, were leading the charge. Jaylen Brown won the Philly series.
Bobby,
2020, Tatum led them the whole way.
Okay, so that was one trip. Yeah, I think we all agreed 2020 was it, though. 2019, 2018.
So they've won nothing?
What's that in the grand scheme of things? How many players
In the grand
NBA
scheme of things,
history
that's 4 years.
go to
and
the
two
how many
great
how
years.
many how many players
Kemba
go
Walker's
to the
gone.
NBA?
Kyrie Irving's gone. Gordon Hayward's
Kemba
gone.
Walker was gone starting round 2. Jason Tatum led that 2020 stretch. Go
So
back,
they
look
didn't
at
get
the
out of the Eastern
numbers, look
Conference
at the
Finals.
performances.
Look at John's face. He doesn't even want to do this right now. Like,
I just hate that line. They've won nothing. They haven't proven anything just because they don't have a title. It's the title or bust thing.
It's
coming
not
back.
even just because they hadn't had a title. It's like they didn't even go to the NBA. They haven't even gone to the NBA Finals yet. Like the
Listen,
teams
they've
are,
had two. They've had 2 good teams that they've done
What
really
happened?
well with. They've had 2 bad teams the last 2 years, and they've struggled. That's it. You know, you
We
need a
just
good
haven't
team to
seen
make
it.
a run.
we haven't seen these two lead an entire season. I think that's fair to say. Even
No,
in
I think
2020, like everyone forgets how good those first 2-3 months of Kemba was before things went downhill.
Yes.
You know,
No,
like,
I think
all that is relative in the sense of getting the record and a record that they needed. Granted, home court advantage wasn't an advantage in 2020, but there's a lot of pieces to that, and it wasn't just all Tatum and Brown.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you look at these last
Bobby,
2
you
seasons.
want to give him
they
a
have to.
participation award?
Oh, so you get nothing for making a big playoff run. You get killed if you lose round 1, but if you make round 3, it's
Look,
all. It's
we've
nothing.
been over this so many
I give him
times.
1.
I don't even want to waste my time saying it again. The difference between first, second, third round when you're not really a title contender and really you're not even a contender to make it out of the conference finals is just simply matchups and who you played in the early rounds. There's not a huge difference between a team that gets bounced in the first or the second or the third. Sometimes it's just seeding. Sometimes there's some factors. Yes, it's better to go farther than not, but you really haven't achieved much. So I'm not calling them winners. They don't have a pedigree of winning, and Tatum does not have anything on his resume that allows him that gives him a pass right now.
He says
How
like,
long
oh,
has he
he's
been
a
in the
winner.
league?
He's
Has
proven
is-
winner.
What he has is a couple 50 burgers, as Jimmy said, and the ability to light it up in a way that a lot of other people in the league couldn't dream of doing. So he's got to be at that level and do those things.
I'll give you
But
this.
We're not saying Tatum the winner. It's Tatum the scorer. He's got to get back to scoring. But
As
give me a break with the Eastern Conference stuff. I don't think that's a big deal.
Listen,
It's
all I'm
not.
disputing is that they've never won anything. Like
They haven't.
Your guy Zion's never won anything. They
What are
haven't
we
made the
talking
Agreed.
playoffs
Why
at
would you
all.
have to
Agreed.
respect
I mean,
Zion?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, there's levels to this. There's not making
Okay,
the
fine.
playoffs.
Okay, Bobby.
There's-
Yeah, I mean, if you're literally, they have won playoff rounds, but
They've won a million regular season
they'll put a
games,
banner
too.
up in the TD Garden for
Like I said,
everything, and
What's
they haven't put
the
one
most
up yet for
laughable-
any of their teams. So
What's one of the most laughable things we've seen as Boston sports fans a team do? Period. It's the Indianapolis Colts.
right, thank you.
AFC Championship participant banner. They were literally universally trashed for that within 0.5 seconds of the first photo hitting social media, and it's
Right.
been the thing that their franchise is associated with. Please, guys, like,
Please stop.
let's not give ourselves participation trophies for arriving at a conference final. Like, that's just not.
Well, no,
Right.
I don't think it's
I'm
just.
just
it's
not going to
it's
diminish
not
his whole
one
career
soul.
either. So
We're not
far.
diminishing
it's
it.
not-
We're just simply when
a
you're
fact.
checking boxes, you're not checking winner yet. Not yet. Not
think the
because of
difference-
not because of reaching a conference final.
The difference is we keep bunching together all those teams and saying, "Oh, they made these runs. This is a completely different era." Like, granted, 2020. Okay, I guess you can give some credit to Brown and Tatum for that. But again, like, it wasn't their team, so to speak, all year long. So I think that's the biggest
that's
difference
true.
because Celtics fans, obviously, 3 out of 4 years, they're hungry for it, right? They want to see them go over the hump. They had to watch a couple game 7s, or at least one of them. And you look at what happened in the bubble, and that definitely not could have. That was definitely their easiest path to the NBA Finals, and they couldn't force a game 7. So I think that's also a lot of it too, right? It left the foul taste in a lot of Celtics fans' mouth. So it's like, man, how many times do we have to, be teased within an NBA Finals appearance, and it falls to shit. And then you look at last season, so I think, again, we keep making that mistake of grouping together all those teams. I don't think those are the same groups.
Yes, and this is obviously a different period. That's about a shortened season and 72 games plus 10 games or so now that we're going off in terms of them being able to lift the team up. Jason and Jalen. Jalen's been hurt for much of this last year and a half, which I think makes you question his sustainability a little bit with the amount of injuries he's piling up.
But yeah.
I mean, what he played 60 games last year, so he missed a decent chunk. Starting to miss some this year too. But Jason in particular, the one thing you can criticize him when you look at the record the last 2 years, is he able to raise up a team that's not that great? We're seeing that it's no. Now, at the same time, what's the bar for winning with teams like this? You know, like obviously they should have been better last year, but what was the real expectation last year? What's the real expectation
the bar
this year?
went up after Brooklyn did what they did, right? I mean, that's another thing too. While we're watching these playoff runs, teams in the Eastern Conference were getting better. And while the Celtics have obviously they hung around and they've been in the mix, there wasn't a huge step up this offseason. It was an improvement based off last year's roster, but we all knew that the ascension of the next level of Tatum was going to coincide with them making another deep playoff run. And of course, Jaylen Brown has a lot to do with that as well.
All right, we got some players coming to the podium, John, so I'm going to bounce, get some quotes here for
It's
the
probably
for
best
the
for
people.
you to do. It's probably best for you to take a little.
We'll leave it on that. We'll revisit this
Yeah.
on a special
I'm
Why
gonna
don't
edition.
you
save
go
it
think
for me.
about what you just said for a bit?
I'm going to save a few things for you. And while Bobby goes away, we'll have to tell you about a few things. But
I
anyway,
love how Bobby has bouncer rights. I thought that was just a when John's not in the house type of thing.
no, I told him to do it because it looks cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, go ahead,
You
Bobby. I
love
was
dropping
like,
that line. That's true.
I was like,
You
go
love
He's
say you're
cool.
gonna. I was like, just go say you're gonna do interviews. People will think it's cool.
Go think about what you just said.
Go sit in
Yeah.
the corner.
Go take a
Tell
time out.
Tatum
Go
about what
listen
you
to Ime on mute.
Yeah.
Think about what you said. No, Bobby likes to mix it up. And again, you know, we
this
give
is that awkward moment when the kid gets up in class and everyone's staring at him.
we give Bobby grief, but he's a writer.
I'm
He's
just
a writer. He's a writer
That's
first and
right.
foremost.
He's gotta
No,
do
I know,
his
but we
thing.
all just got so mad at him for what he said.
Oh yeah,
for
but
sure.
that's the best part. When Bobby's not here, I don't know what to do. I really don't.
I mean, his definition of like I guess winning or winners is, you know what it is? I think he just didn't he admit like 10 minutes ago that he was born like 12 years ago. So he actually hasn't really been around for like a lot of the championships that Boston's
Jimmy's like, all he
experienced.
knows is Brad Stevens' era.
Right, pretty much. I don't even know if he remembers 07. So his idea of winning and losing might be a little different than like John's, for example, or mine.
Right.
Because he's
No, but
missed
it's
some of
funny. I
those.
mean, you know, like I said, I spent a lot of my life in Loserville, so I mean, I see it all. You know, I see
Right.
both
Yeah, but
sides.
this isn't even Loserville.
No, it's not.
exactly. You know what Loserville is, John. Jimmy, you know what Loserville
No, but I mean,
is. Like,
You know what this is? You know what this is?
this
Purgatory.
organization's
It's
been
purgatory.
spoiled.
It's
They've been
purgatory.
spoiled, lucky, whatever you want to call it. Like they've had the top scoring point guards of the Eastern Conference, right? You
This-
name them. Like
This feels like Celtics purgatory
Dude,
right
in
now. I
my
don't think
life,
anyone here
everyone
thinks
just
the
gave
Celtics
that
are the
credit
worst
to Tatum and
or the best.
most Celtics fans gave that credit to Tatum and Brown. That whole
while waiting for like the 2001 Patriots to happen, you know, in that 15-year gap Boston sports fans had between Larry's last title in '86 and the Patriots winning it in 2001. That 15 years were like big years of my life, and like during that time, we're celebrating.
Those are like my first 15
losers.
years.
Like we were celebrating losers. We threw a freaking parade for Ray Bork for winning in Colorado.
Yeah.
Like
That was
which
tough.
is the silliest thing that's ever happened in the history of sports. Like we used to bring back the 75
that
team and the 67 team and be like, remember these losers who almost won? How great that was. Like lose.
Oh
like,
man,
Oh no! How about
you
this,
get
John?
caught.
How
You
about-
get caught in the wrong Red Sox press box. They'll be talking about the '67 team all the whole 9 innings. They'll
John,
be
how about-
rehashing it.
How about whatever
Yeah,
used to
those
be?
were the
What was
dream
it?
years. Like that's it never got any better than that.
How about what was it back in was it Fox Sports New England or whatever? They used to just run like old highlights of like Havlicek stole the ball. Like that
Right.
used to be like, hey, come down and relive the older days, but you have to watch this team though. Like tickets on
Right.
sale. Like they used to promote tickets like that.
Loserville.
Yeah, they used to be
Loserville.
like, hey,
Yeah.
you know, come on. I know this team isn't as great, but like, remember the good old days? Like that was a selling point because that's how long it had been since the team had been successful. Never mind,
Yes.
you know, just trying to make the playoffs. Never mind going to the Eastern Conference Final. So again, like the dark years of Brad Stevens, they pale in comparison to the Rick Pitino years, or even when Jim O'Brien took over.
Pitino. That was some good stuff. So very quickly, while we wait for Bobby, we do want to tell people we want to welcome back our favorite
Oh,
sponsor.
calm.com.
Sir,
Back for more. Calm is here. We want to tell you about it. It's the #1 sleep and meditation app Teamed up with LeBron James, help you activate the power of sleep.
It is.
All you have to do, go to calm.com/garden. Limited time, you get 40% off. Are you kidding me? 40% off. Go get it. Rain falling, leaves, music, meditative stuff, stuff that, you can get to sleep in minutes. Everybody here at the Garden
If you
Report
got kids, you can toss on some music for the kids to fall asleep.
Yep. Unlock content to help you focus, ease stress, sleep better. Calm.com/garden. That's CALM.com/garden. Go check it out. 40% off. Go get yourself some.
Yeah.
What else from this game? And again,
I tossed this on like
Jimmy's so extra.
just to chill, man. This is called Gentle as a Breeze.
Wow.
Can you guys hear it?
I don't know. We're gonna get like a copyright strike. So.
Oh, true. Yeah, we're gonna let that one.
John's
slide.
like, I don't know, but make it stop. So
We're gonna let that one slide. We'll bleep that out, but just gives you an idea of the peacefulness that goes on.
Oh,
with
it's
this.
peaceful. It's good stuff. 40% off, so no joke. So go get some. All right, Celtics win this one.
I'm just trying to shut it off, to be honest. Shutting it off is difficult. We're good.
I'm just messing around.
why are you doing this to John? Leave him alone.
We're good.
all right.
Shutting it off is sometimes hard. They want you to keep it.
Bobby's back. Bobby did all the interviews. He did them all.
Breaking news.
What happened? Anything
What
good?
you got, reporter
Robert
Bobby?
Williams, his
Nothing
knees.
groundbreaking.
Who
Al
talked?
did kind of
Nothing
say what you did
groundbreaking?
about the.
Come on, sell it to us.
What
Al
did he say?
basically reflected John's analysis of the unpredictability down the stretch. We have to be unpredictable. Going through Schroeder, going through Smart. Kind of a light version of what Smart said, right? Like a very softened version.
Don't always hand the ball to Tatum and get out of the way. That they didn't. I don't know if it was by design or not. It was just really interesting to me that Tatum didn't touch the ball at all. I don't know if he was there as a decoy. You would think if they'd give him the ball, the idea would be that he'd quickly pass out of a double, but whatever. Still just very surprising that it happened. You never know if Schroeder's just freestyling, because he did have that game where he just that monster game against Milwaukee, he looked Tatum off a bunch of times.
Yeah,
It's like,
he just created on his
hand.
own. Yeah, he would just create on his own.
Schroeder is a freestyler. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I heard
totally.
a ton of Schroeder. I heard a ton of Schroeder talk on the show over the weekend. Like, I don't get what's so captive. No, I just don't get what
So
I know
Schroeder's this year's Rob for you.
Yeah, you don't like Schroeder. We know.
This is
I don't.
Rob all
Bobby's
over.
not a fan of Dennis the Menace.
We have lines in the sand.
I'm a big
Ron.
fan. I'm a big fan of Schroeder and what he's doing for this team. I just don't. I know we're here to debate and talk and have a conversation, but I just don't get what's so divisive about him. The Celtics didn't have any access to other point guards. He came here for a massive discount.
Oh, you don't get what's divisive.
Yes.
He's an
okay.
ISO freak, and he hangs on to the ball.
But what
too
else
much.
are they gonna do?
But the problem is that the thing is, though, it's empty calories. Like that's the downside. Like, I like Schroeder because I do think they don't have enough options.
They
and every
need
once in a
him
while,
badly. Yeah.
Every once in a while, you need a guy to just flip the on switch and just go get points. Okay, and when he's done it, it's been at times they need it. But at his worst, it was in the second half of last game. He's just ISO, and his ISO numbers are as bad as Tatum's or worse, or they're pretty close.
And this is why Jimmy thinks I hate him. The bad things he does are going to sink them.
And so the bad things can kill you.
8 turnovers.
But
Oh,
might have
God.
lost that game anyway. That's the point. So this is why I'm pro Schroeder. The games he kills you, I think a lot of times it's, well, what else were you going to do? No one else was getting anything going, so he tried and he took it upon himself. And you take the good, you take the bad. The games he wins you, I don't think anybody else would have won them.
Right.
Because he's got that takeover ability. So I don't think
he has the ability to kill you. I
Yeah.
don't think he can kill you. I think he could only.
You don't think 6 to 8 turnovers in like 30 minutes can kill you?
Well, if he's going to average 30 points over those 2 games and average 7, I'll take 30 points and 7 turnovers every single game.
I like it. I like what he brings because they just don't have it.
How many turnovers tonight?
But when he goes bad, he had
Look.
2 last night when I checked in the first half.
No, I definitely have more than that.
And then he had at least one more in the second half.
Turnovers. He had 3. So everyone just needs to relax.
That's what I
He had
remember.
3
2 at the
turnovers.
half and then 1 more.
You can't put the magnifying glass on every single turnover from Dennis Schroeder and say, "See, he turns the ball over," because that's this.
Well, it's about the
I hate to
kind
say
of
it, get
turnovers
used to
too.
it.
He throws one to the guy
He had
running
a
in
bad one to
transition.
Tatum.
Look what Marcus does. I mean, like Marcus had a couple brutal ones tonight too. I mean, it's like
They both gotta
we
clean
can't have
it up.
agendas on like just isolating the thing you don't like about the one guy. Yeah, he's had some high turnover games for sure.
Well,
but
John,
he
what
also-
did you say? What did
Yeah.
you say yesterday? It's like if he didn't turn the ball over, he wouldn't have been available to you this offseason.
Right, exactly. Like he'd be
I mean,
making
that's
$25
really what it comes down
million.
to. Right. So you got to take a couple of the warts here. I don't think Schroeder. I think that he's more likely to win you a game than lose you a game because I don't think I just don't think the turnovers. If that's the one knock on him,
I
or if
agree
he
with
has a
that.
bad shooting night, like I don't think the Celtics would allow his role to be big enough for them to straight up lose you a game. I'm not saying he might miss a shot at the buzzer and you might lose, but I don't think Dennis Schroeder can kill you the way like Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum can kill you if they just completely shit the bed on any given night.
Well, that's the big question, Jimmy. And I asked this today: is he going to keep starting? Because there's a real case here. You know, you blow a game wide open with 38, and you're looking like the lead scorer many nights. There's a case there to be more prominent in what they're doing here. But it feels like they still want him to be that 6-man,
So
touch
the
and
thing
go.
the thing I said about that over the weekend is, and this is where I'm torn on it because like I like what he brings, but really the only thing that matters is does he make the Jays better, or is the lineup better when he's in it or not? Versus Smart, say, if you went back to the original starting lineup, which apparently Ime was planning on doing before Rob got hurt.
So that's what you're kind of you're looking at Smart and Schroeder, right?
I'm looking at Smart and Schroeder, but also
I'm looking at
if you eliminated
Schroeder
Smart
and the
and
bigs.
just went Schroeder, how would that look? And right now, Schroeder with Jason or Schroeder with Jalen or Schroeder with both and Marcus with both on their own independently, the numbers don't really tell you a story that makes it clear one is better than the other. And they're playing so much together, it's really hard to figure it out. Like, I guess you'd have to try Schroeder for 10 games with those guys and bring Marcus off the bench to have a good idea if that works or doesn't work.
We all know Smart's not going to the bench. So I look at it as Schroeder and one of the bigs.
I'm not crazy about it. I like Schroeder coming off the bench. I like having that energy. Doesn't mean that he's not going
better suited to be a bench player. It's just Schroeder might be the only. You might need Schroeder to just play. Give me the ball and get out of my way with the second unit, and that might just be his role.
Right, and I think that again, and we said this. I said the last show that I was on, not Saturday, the one before that. It doesn't really matter as much to me if he starts. It matters to me how many minutes he gets and if he's playing at the end of games, where I think they desperately need him at the end of games because, like we had talked about, they need other options besides Tatum and Brown. And I think that he is that other option. He's not scared, certainly not scared to command the ball and ball handle and shoot. So you obviously need him out there. So I think you're going to see him in the game at the end of games more often than not. So, I mean, if Kumbaya, Marcus Smart still starts and everything, and everyone can like sort of be happy about that, then I'm sure that's probably what they'll do.
Richardson Schroeder's a +2. I think we've seen steady +8 from Smart and Schroeder. So I think there's real potential to them as a duo. And this is why, you're right, Jimmy. He's going to close games. That's the line here. It doesn't matter who starts, it's who finishes. So they'll pick a big and close with the two guards there. My thing is, like, who's he playing with? Because it seems like there's a real chemistry between him and Smart. They're able to play, share the ball, win, and, have good defensive units out there at the same time, produce offense, pass, all those things. Schroeder with Richardson and these bench guys, like it's kind of just more his show. There's not a real flow to it. He's just kind of gunning. And, I'd rather see if you have something developing here with him and Al per se. Him and Rob may be able to get some pick and roll action going. And then him able to free up Tatum, as we saw for stretches of this today. That's what I'm looking at him as a starter. Like, can he get more minutes with the starters? I know he's going to close, but can he get more minutes throughout the flow of the game with the starters too? I get the double big thing. Like, the defense has been awesome with two bigs out there. The numbers are great. This isn't Thompson, Tice, who were losing their minutes, and Brad was like, we like how it looks, even though the numbers are awful. I think at some point that goes away and you just put your best 5 players on the floor to start. And, you give yourself 2 big options that's easier to split throughout the flow of a game. Like I don't know if that's a big deal to either you guys, but starting to see Schroeder with these starters and some of the results that it's produced, I think you kind of lean into that. You don't go back to what you were doing before just because it was what you were doing before. You got a chance to experiment here. It went really well. So make Schroeder a starter.
And then move what? And then what? Smart goes to the bench or a big?
No, one of the bigs. Get rid of double big.
Yeah.
What's like? I know double big's gone well, but does it give you something dynamic?
Well,
or
you might not have a
special,
choice. You might not have a choice because it feels like either Rob or Horford aren't going to be able to give you, 30 plus or every game type performances. I mean, not to change the subject, but Rob left against knee soreness.
Concerned about Rob tonight?
Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm just I don't know if the word is concerned or just like kind of
exasperated.
Yeah, exasperated is part of the word. I'm just kind of like
to the next level.
another game,
No, that's where I am.
Soreness. Like here we go, and like it just feels like this is just going to be the story. And you talk about, on one aspect, obviously it doesn't help the Celtics, but if you're talking about from an asset point of view, I mean, what team's going to be interested in a guy that just has constant knee pain or constant banged up for this, banged up for that, and you can't rely on his availability factor. Is just not there right now.
You talk about, again, the Schroeder thing, and again, I wanted to go back to it. Marcus didn't touch the ball. I know we talked about Tatum. Marcus didn't really have the ball in his hands much there. Really, the offense ran through Schroeder.
That was my guess. Yeah, that was who I guessed when you asked the question, was Marcus.
No, I mean, I'm thinking back on it now, just talking about the Schroeder versus Smart thing, and then we'll get back to Rob.
He held the ball. I mean, John, he did exactly what people complain that he does, is he ball hogs it.
That's kind of what point guards do. It's one thing when you do that and you're just waiting for your ISO opportunity and then you're just going to shoot no matter what. It's another when it's like nobody's moving and you're just kind of waiting for some sort of action or looking to create something with a pick and roll or whatever. But it definitely. I'm trying to remember. I don't think Smart had much to do late in that game either.
No. I mean, all those 3 possessions, he had the ball primarily for the entire possession. I remember he did like one drive, he got stopped, pulled it back out, and got a shot open. And then the one lob to Horford, he had the ball for a bit there. And then that last shot. So I don't remember Smart doing much either on those last 3.
He had the pick and roll pass that Horford dropped that went out of bounds there. That was the one I remember.
Yeah.
But overall, second half, driving, getting downhill, like that's what he needs to do more. I was watching early when he was just bricking all those threes. I think he started 1 of 4, and it's like, why not just get into another action? Scal said this too. Just the launching threes again and again when the teams want him to do that. Like there's always that adage that, all right, you're open, fire away.
For who? For
I don't
Smart?
think that. Yes. For much of this team, really, because we know they're not good at shooting. You got that Ime quote last week. I'm not going to say they're going to fall anymore. Like we know this team's not good at threes. So why are you shooting 5 threes and 5 twos in the first couple minutes of this game? And it takes some time to adjust their shot profile as this goes on. They can't be playing to create threes because they don't have the shooters.
They didn't take a lot of threes tonight, though.
They adjusted, yeah, and it does seem like they start going downhill more as the game goes on.
In the second half, for sure, but they didn't take a ton by their standards here tonight. But again, you're right. It's like Marcus is like, at what point do you just stop altogether? Like, I mean, we debated this a bit last year with he's got to take it because it keeps the defense honest, and it's better than not taking it at all. We might officially be at the point where it's absolutely not better than not taking it at all.
New coach, new approach. Let's change this up.
But it's not just the new coach and new approach. Like, it's just something that is going to result in bad at some point isn't worth doing anymore.
Yep.
It's, continually shitting the bed is worse than not shitting the bed. So
this is where we are. Every night was Schroeder good, was Schroeder bad, did Schroeder hurt? They have nowhere. Like you got Smart, you got Schroeder. No one else in the league among quality point guards was available to you. You have Pritchard, who is
Except
not
for
playing
Rubio
well at
that you
all.
could have had for nothing.
Fair enough. In terms of their price point, though, because what were we going to trade for Rubio? That money was hard to make work. So it's like, all right, Schroeder, there's frustration. So you said it, John. Like, if he wasn't turning the ball over, he wouldn't be available to you at that price. If there weren't frustrating tendencies, he wouldn't be available at $5 million. He was the only guy who could boost that position. And so, all right, maybe he annoys you sometimes. Maybe his tendencies get frustrating and it costs you a game here or there. It's like, what else are you going to do? Who's he blocking? Like, who's he stealing minutes from here? He's boosting this team. You don't win that game on Friday without him.
Yeah, we're full aware of that. Absolutely. I think that's why I came in so hot on, was it Friday? And everyone was crying and saying, "Oh, Jimmy, shut up, you're annoying, you're this." No, I was just going to
Not one person said that, but all right.
But Josue was thinking it, though. So I was just coming in. I had to give it to Josue and Sherrod because the game before that, they were trashing on Schroeder for the 8 turnovers that, Bobby, you probably would have done the same thing if you were on. So I had to get him back for that because, in my opinion,
No, we analyze his game and what he does.
Right.
Game in and game out. That's what we do here on the Celtics postgame show.
Right. But in that case,
I do like what John said,
they
though.
got hung up on the turnovers. They weren't analyzing his game because if you watched the game, you would have saw how much more effective he was. I think it was a lot of people in the comments too. To be no offense to everybody in the comments.
I think it is hard to look at 8 turnovers, live ball stuff, and sloppiness, though, and be like, oh, that's just who he is. Like, clean it up. Like, anybody can clean up their game a little bit.
Right.
Oh, I
And,
agree
cut
with you
one or
completely.
two of those off. I do love what John said, though, about like, all right, we look at so many of these smart tendencies, launching threes, doing crazy stuff, hit it, and we're just like, oh, that's smart. Like, we can't have another guy that we kind of, let off the hook a little bit with some of this stuff when he's giving you 38. I mean, when has Smart ever scored 38 for the Celtics? So you got your offensive guy and you got your defensive guy. It's a nice duo. Like, I like them as a combo.
Yeah, but for the team, though, I still like Schroeder coming off the bench. I mean, to finish games, sure, but between Jalen being out, Robert being out, it's hard to say what the team's going to look like the next couple
They're
of
getting
weeks.
some good minutes from double big, so I'll let it ride. But I don't know. Like, you get something good here, lean into it.
I feel like
I'm
we
thrilled.
we talked a little bit of Grant, but Grant came through.
Before we
Grant
get
came
off
through.
Schroeder, Celtics Lakers on Friday. We talked about this with Simmons. I love that. Like, they wanted to kick him out of there so fast. They wanted to do this Russ thing. Go out there and
Yeah, he's dropping 40 again. He's dropping 40 on Friday.
Revenge
It's gonna be
game.
a big Schroeder game.
There's been many of them against the Celtics. Let's get a Celtics against someone else. Revenge game.
Cleveland
I
was
am
trying
so
to
excited
do one
for that.
with Taco tonight.
I was waiting for it after he blocked Neesmith.
His tall ass checked in the first quarter. I was surprised.
It's going to be an $80 million game for Schroeder.
I'm going to make sure I'm available for Celtics Lakers to follow up on my last Celtics Lakers.
I was just gonna say, you're gonna try to do a repeat performance.
Friday night Celtics Lakers. Be very afraid, John.
Warm up the coffee.
I'm surprised you brought it up. I forgot about that.
Be very afraid. Coming in. You thought I came in hot last week. Wow.
That's one of
Celtics
the
Lakers.
John's trying
Schroeder revenge game.
John's trying to bring back some of the best of Celtics postgame shows. Start that night, John.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a couple things that went. We can go back to Rob if you want, but I'm with you, Jimmy. I'm so depressed.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm all robbed out.
I can't do it. I can't do the Rob thing. I'm just.
Did he say
bummed out.
anything about him?
He felt a little soreness and he checked out. That's all we got. Usual cryptic injury news from this team. Like, is he gonna be out 3 weeks now?
He's not used to playing
you know what?
this many
Maybe
they're
they're just as befuddled as we are.
Lower body.
Well, remember
injury.
they checked out of the game. I forget which one it was, and went to the locker room, and they sent him right back out there. It was,
I think his body's just responding to this newfound 25 plus minutes a night. Like, just not what he's accustomed to.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that was a
He's
case
a professional athlete, guys. I think he can handle mid 20 minutes.
He can't handle it, but it's just the period where his body has to.
He could handle signing that contract extension for all that money. He should be able to handle 25 minutes a game.
I'm not going to do that to him, Jimmy, just because the turf toe stuff he did in the playoffs was really impressive, just in terms of pain tolerance, the games he had through them. I think if you erase that off his record, it'd be like, all right, is this guy going to check out after every little, pop and
I'm not going to
soreness that he
say he's
feels.
not hurt. I have no idea. I'm not going to say he's.
But the turf toe thing that he did, he gets a lot of credit for in my book. It's tough because look at what he was doing the last 4 or 5 games, and really just to start the season in terms of sustainable action, 30 minutes, not missing any games, and able to bounce back from that moment that we saw. It was really piling up to be a career season for him at this point. And, you could keep it going here. Who knows what's going to happen. But the 30 minutes, the production that we're seeing, and just his overall impact, I thought was so impressive to start this year. John didn't like the lack of burst, but there was a sustainability to it that I really loved. And, coming in this game, last 4 or 5 games, 14 points a game, 12 rebounds a game, 2 blocks, 75% from the field, increasing his efficiency on what we've already seen. This has just been an awesome start from Rob, and hopefully this isn't a bump in the road of that momentum.
It's just sad, man. It's just like
he was swallowing up rebounds in that first half too. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he was gone.
I think it was like 5 and something like that.
I didn't see anything out there that I mean, maybe I missed it, but I didn't see a specific play that he banged knees or
I don't know.
Felt weird. I mean, it's the knee. Half the time, half these knee injuries are non-contact anyway, so I guess you wouldn't even know.
No, just soreness. It's just wear and tear. It's just friggin' he just can't hold
soreness after one half of basketball after you had yesterday. It wasn't like a back-to-back. It's like.
But John, he played through turf.
They have 4 games this week, including tonight: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
But John, I get
he's devastated right now.
John, I get the desire to say that.
I just got nothing left. I don't know where to go with it.
You had all your hopes and wishes, and Rob, I hear you, man.
And then also, like I said, I thought he looked like trash during the preseason and early in the year. And again, I don't believe physically he's the same freakish athlete we saw last year, but he started doing all of those other things, that he does in games. Active hands, keeping balls alive, great on the offensive board. The numbers with him on the floor, particularly offensively, have been great.
He's their net rating leader, yeah.
The net rating is off the charts. The double big lineup defensively has been outstanding. So he's impacting the game in all those Rob ways, even though I still don't think he's been all the way back. And then and again, we are exactly where we said we'd be with this team, which is it's Tatum and Brown, and Rob needed to make a leap to be that third legit guy who makes you better out there. And he was starting to get there. And we just can't take one step forward, one step back, with this over and over again. This team's too thin, does not have enough impact players to be able to hang in there. You see what happens when one guy goes out. The bench is so ugly right now. It's just as soon as you start to need – Aaron Nesmith started the freaking second half, guys, and he didn't puke all over himself, but it's like you're surviving these minutes, with these guys. And this is what happened last game. They survived that grisly, Pritchard, Nesmith, Romeo, Grant, Parker lineup in the first quarter, and then they went to it in the third, and the whole friggin' thing unraveled. Like, you're surviving bench minutes. You cannot lose impact players. There's just not enough of them on this team.
That stuck out to Jimmy during this game too. The experimentation, deep bench lineups. They went deeper in this game. They're starting to mix things up a little bit in that regard. And you are seeing some funky lineups right now. What was that one in the second half? It was like Grant, Rob, Nesmith, Pritchard, and Schroeder.
I was like, who can create off of it besides Schroeder? Who's creating in this lineup? Like,
that's the thing. Again,
you can't say Ime isn't experimenting at this point, and then throwing Cantor into the mix.
That's where we're taking it next. We're gonna talk a little bit our boy ENES.
No podium appearance tonight.
Not allowed to talk. Not allowed to talk, but I guess he is allowed to play.
That would be, I don't know. I'm gonna say he would probably be coached somewhat before heading up to the podium. But
he didn't speak tonight, right?
He did not.
No, he wouldn't be coached.
ENES, the situation for ENES turned today because he keeps tweeting stuff that the NBA doesn't want him to tweet because they're worried about business deals in China, and it's understandable, sort of. But everyone's just kind of hoping he won't do it, and then he keeps doing it, and the Celtics don't talk about it. They've probably been told not to talk about it, but Ime was flat out asked her, like, are you not playing him because of this China stuff? And he's like, nah, I'm not playing him because he's bad at defense.
Well, let's be real.
So he had no choice but to like shit on him. He's like, no, I'm not playing him because he sucks and he can't switch. And that's what we do. But then later that day,
he hasn't figured out the defense.
He dusts him off and he plays him. And
let's be real though. To be willing to make yourself as a public figure sworn enemies of Turkey and China, like that's a brave guy right there. I mean, he is taking a stand and he's not backing down and talking tough.
Aaron, I agree. It's not understandable. I understand why I don't condone what the NBA is doing. I know what they're doing, and it's all about dollars. But they're ducking this.
Well, he's basically calling them hypocrites, which
he
the
is.
shoe company too.
Doing it.
His commentary on Nike, like this is real stuff. We just ignore.
But they can't do anything about it. They're not going to silence him, and he's going to keep saying what he's going to say, and that's that. And so, but the question whether or not he's paying for it in terms of playing.
I don't think he's paying for it in terms of playing. I don't think there's some
no
sort of
chance.
word from, because it's like you said, it doesn't matter if he plays or not. It's not going to stop him from his free speech and for him, taking a stand and being passionate about these things that are going on. And he wants more people to become aware of them. And to be honest, more people are becoming aware of it because of him. So he's
100%.
It's working.
This is the right time to do this.
Free ENES. Let him do his thing and let him play.
And you know what? I think he's good.
Love him.
I think he's good enough to play, certainly in the NBA. I don't know why he hasn't gotten an opportunity. I don't think it has anything to do with China. I mean, we saw this the last time he was.
Jimmy.
The last time he was on the Celtics, Brad never played him either. And every time Brad played him, he'd rip down like 10 boards in 5 minutes. And we'd be like, wow, Ennis is actually kind of a big presence on the glass, especially offensively.
It's about
and then he would
matchup.
disappear for another week or two.
I support everything he says, and I support more minutes for him because, again, he's one of the guys who has a specialty on the court. And that's he's a very good offensive player, and he grabs boards. And yes, he's going to get killed in some lineups and on switching and on pick and rolls. It's been a weakness.
This was the game to play him.
But this is a game to play him. You can play him in these games. That's what I mean is like we saw it in the playoffs, where it's like you can't play Ennis here and you can't play Rob here and you can't whatever there, a couple years ago when he was here, and it was like, what big are you going to try here? Because this guy's not going to work and that guy's not going to work here. I'm surprised there aren't Ennis games and not Ennis games. I'm stunned that he's gone this long without playing at all.
See, I was surprised a bit. I was thinking the same thing, John. But then you look at the way Al Horford's performed, right? You look at the way Rob was. I mean, not exactly to your liking, but when you combine the two, that's plenty of production on both ends. So I think when you couple that with the fact that he's trying out guys like Grant Williams who can really change things because of his outside shot. He's looking at how he's going to approach backup wing help. I just felt like there was a lot more important areas for him to sort of focus on in the sense of how this rotation is going to work itself out. That just unfortunately didn't involve Enes Kanter. Like, I don't think there was a void that said, "Oh, well, we need more rebounders to put him in that situation." Now maybe that's the case because if Rob's going to miss some time, you're going to need someone to be cleaning up the glass there, and then that's when you see more Kanter. But up until now, I didn't think the team was missing him all that much.
Did anybody? I mean, let's be real though. I mean, is Boston the only place where Enes Kanter can't play basketball? Because everywhere
that's not
else,
fair, man. You're only comparing it to Portland though.
But my God, he was 12.
He's productive in Portland, but that was.
He's 11-11 in Portland.
Right.
He started 30-something.
Like, how different can it be? This is the same NBA.
It's the same basketball, right?
Man,
They're playing.
Yeah,
but
their
teams, right?
Their defense completely torpedoed their season, though, and they're willing to do
that.
that.
I know, but that's the point is he gives you a lot in one area. He gives you good offense, and he's a terrific rebounder, and you suffer defensively. But again,
how are the Celtics trying to win right now?
Jabari Parker, like playing small ball big, like what's the alternative?
It's like they're trying so many other things instead of just putting in the center.
8 to 10 minutes a game. We're not saying give him 35 minutes. It's stunning he can't find his way onto the floor.
Yeah, but I feel like Ime knows what that looks like already. He's like, I want to try Grant. I want to try, these guys. I've never played with these pieces
He's played
before,
well everywhere, and the Celtics are terrified to use him. Yes, he's also had stints other places that he's played himself off the floor. But like, my
Yeah.
God, you know,
The-
like
I
Portland's the
get
only
you.
one
I
that
just-
goes down with them for sure.
I just think going into the season, Ime loves the combination of veteran guys and young guys. But that combination of veterans, I don't think he thinks of ENES right away. Like he's thinking of other guys like Schroeder, Horford, like guys like that who he feels more comfortable with, has more confidence in. I just don't think he has all that much confidence in ENES. He'd rather just sort of experiment and see what he has in the young guys.
Well,
we've talked about the reason that he can't play, which is they switch everything. And they're not willing to get away from that. That's their defensive system. He can't play it, so he can't play. The question is, and we've talked about it with the switching, do you get a
so
little
they signed a
more
player
flexible
that they
with it?
can't play.
He's
For $1 million. For $1
He
million
was
bucks.
insurance for Rob. He was Rob insurance.
We
Well,
talked
guess
about
what?
that. Like, why is he
You're going to
back
need
after-
Rob insurance, so you might as well sign a guy that you're going to actually want to play because everyone knows that you're going to need Rob insurance. I think that's fairly obvious.
I don't know how many centers were out there that were available for $1 million, because that's essentially why he was here. They knew who he was. He was available for $1 million, and he became the emergency big.
Your guy
Yeah,
Luke.
Otherwise, it would have
Your
been
guy
Bruno.
Luke's up in Maine.
Can Luke switch? I don't think so.
No, Luke ain't switching.
Luke can do whatever, anything.
No, the
for extended
question.
periods of time at least.
Oh, John,
What's up, John?
emphasizing his importance on the
John
show.
wants
you
the.
could try out the new
John wants the
features
big
when we're
screen
not
right
on air.
now.
if you
what
want.
the hell is that?
What's up, John?
I don't know. You tell me.
Nobody puts
God,
me in
I
a
hated
corner.
That. Don't do that again.
I thought you did that by design.
No,
What do you mean?
no, I just pressed the wrong button. I don't want to see that again.
Yeah, experiment when we're not on air. All right.
I
Oh,
thought John
geez.
was increasing his
Yeah.
stature.
No,
Yeah,
no.
John's like, what is this?
I thought you
button?
important. I thought he had something important to say,
Stand by, everyone.
but he didn't.
Who would even use that sort of thing? Like that's
It's like a CNN type of panel. There.
I don't like it. Don't let me do
yeah,
that again.
yeah. Actually, you know what, Bobby, you're right. And then like
Here's the
least
question.
important people are on the smaller side.
This is going to be a critical question for this team because
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
do have a point.
Go ahead, little people. Tell me.
No, Bobby's got a
Yeah.
bigger one. What the heck?
Yeah, this is some bullshit.
We're minimizing Jimmy and Josue's role here.
Yeah, that's John's pie chart in his mind. People who contribute,
Yeah,
people who contribute to the show.
we got to peek inside.
Do you allow for some flexibility here for Cantor to play? Because Ime has said this. Like, if they play some drop, he can play there. If you're going against like a Philly-style team where he's just battling Embiid and not switching, he can play. He could play
it's predicated
here.
on the schedule, though. That's the thing. There's no way to sort of count on Cantor minutes.
But they're
because
not
it all
doing that right
depends.
now, Josue. Like, if
Yeah.
Rob didn't get hurt, Cantor wasn't playing tonight, right? Like, that's the only
Agreed.
reason Cantor got in this game. But you could have done it here. Like, if you switched up the defense, adjusted the game plan, and said, all right, this is a game where there's not a lot of shooting on Cleveland's side. There's not a lot of off-ball action, switching. You could have squeezed Cantor into this game and gotten the impact that you did just because of the way the injury opened up some things here. So there's a point. Like, the Parker thing, too. Like, Parker's been able to shoot a little bit here, but
No.
in terms
Yeah.
of what you get between Cantor and Parker,
No Parker.
Cantor probably is the better overall player. So
Yeah, but then
there's a
Parker-
case here to get him spark minutes out of
Parker
him.
put up a good case for himself. And we talk about outside shooting and stretching the floor and guys that can do that. I mean, I don't think you see Grant Williams score those 3-pointers if Cantor is forced into the picture. So I don't know. I mean, we have to wait.
Well,
and
that's
see,
the thing. Grant's ahead of Cantor in the rotation, realistically.
right? And he had
So
to
that's-
work to get
Yeah,
there
sure.
because
That's fine.
obviously his confidence is at a whole different level compared to 3 weeks ago. I feel like, right, which he couldn't find his way. So
I've said this before too. His screens for Tatum just bruising. Like him and Tatum have such a good chemistry on that screen and roll action because Cantor just levels guys and takes them out of the play. That and 1-3 that was a big part of what ended up deciding the game in the fourth. Awesome play. He swallows up the offensive boards. I mean, his season here was the best statistical offensive rebounding season in Celtics history on a percentage basis. Like, there's a real impact to what he's doing here, but you can't ignore the defensive deficiencies that have just gotten him launched out of every single team he's been on, out of the rotation. And Portland was the team that was willing to go down with the ship, and they went down. Like, it fell apart for them into the playoffs every single time. So you just kind of have to choose what your identity is going to be as a team. And I think Ime's thinking is that we're a defensive team. We're winning on defense, so we have to perfect that side of the floor, and Cantor's not going to help us do that.
Free Ennis.
yeah,
Well
I think
said.
he just likes that style. You know, guys like that who can play the 4 or the 5, can run up and down the floor, can shoot a bit, can.
Do you
switch
try to find
easily.
offense? Or do you just lean into this defensive
No, you need
identity
offense.
that you have? All right. So bring on Cantor.
You need to find some. And again, you got to get creative and you got to try different things. So again, what happened? They tried Neesmith tonight. You know,
To
playing
open
more
that
minutes.
second half, yeah.
A little bit more of a prominent role. Didn't really, like I said, didn't hurt himself.
Didn't make much noise one way or the
Didn't
other.
make much noise. Yeah, just kind of there. Romeo didn't make a ton. Romeo, didn't make a ton.
You
of
guys
use.
see them?
Yeah.
You guys see them trying to free up Payne Pritchard?
No.
I don't know. I thought there was 2 plays where he kept passing out. He'd go behind the arc, and I forget. I don't know who it was, but some Mike picked it up and got the pass back, and it's almost like shoot it. He puts the ball on the floor and gave it up. Oh no, I think he went inside because there was like 7 seconds left on the shot clock. And I don't know. I feel like they're trying to free him up a bit, but just that sort of a couple of threes off the bench that would make a difference for those guys, especially when they were fighting for their first lead in that first half.
I don't know.
That's kind of where I'm at. So the story of this game for me is that like this team can, win some games, beat some tough teams, but where does it lead you trajectory wise, especially with injuries just hitting them left and right again to start this year? Like this win, like it was good. It was a quality win, but did it really like blow you away and say like, oh, they're finding something here? And Tatum was 7 for 20 again. They scrapped out some good minutes out of Al, which we'll see how long that lasts in an 82-game season. And
you're down 1.5 starters.
How's he on?
And you're just they're too thin, and this is how they have to win these games. You got to play tight defense.
No, you give them credit for the win, but I'm not saying like, wow, the Celtics are about to get on a roll.
They got to win rock fights when they don't have a full team because they just don't have enough offensive punch, and that's just what it's going to be.
So tough games continue.
Yeah, you play good defense, maybe you'll hang in there. So we'll wrap it. We want to give one more shout out to our sponsor when I find it.
Calm.com/garden.
Calm.com.
There it is. Calm.com.
40% off.
40% off. #1 sleep and meditation app. Go get yourself some. Calm.com/garden. 40% off a premium subscription. That gives you all the goods. So make sure you check that out. Of course, as always, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Celtics All Access. Patriots fans, short week, so we've got some good stuff here. Patriots Press Pass, make sure you check that out.
You took our names down on our screens with our,
I can't find them.
That's
Glitch.
messed up.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
messed up.
I know.
Because I actually changed mine.
I changed mine too.
Damn. I was
Couldn't
coming
find
in hot
it
with mine. I'll have to save it for the next time.
But yeah, what do we got? Wednesday at Atlanta. Sherrod will be back. He's actually down there taking in the game. And then Lakers, baby. Lakers.
I'm excited for that Lakers one. No LeBron, but
Cantor versus LeBron. Oh wait, you said you're right. No LeBron.
He's out for a bit.
I forgot all about that. He's out for a while. Damn
it's
it.
the Russell show.
Your
that's
guy,
a
Russell
show
Westbrook.
within itself.
But
these teams have played some great games in recent years. There's a nice clash of styles there, and they're both bigger teams, banging defense. It'll be a good one.
Lakers. I love it.
Yep.
All right.
Once a year,
Go get some. This could be Tatum's thing, right? He might. This might be what he needs.
National TV, Celtics Lakers stuff.
Is Tatum gonna? It is a question. Is Tatum gonna come out in a Celtics jersey or a Lakers jersey?
Oops! He runs back in the locker room.
Oh, he comes out in the Kobe jersey.
I mean, he'll pull up at the arena with one, maybe, but
dude, he might. Dude,
maybe a throwback.
If he walks into the arena with a throwback Lakers jersey, oof.
Has anyone seen him in a Celtics
might have
throwback?
to sit on that game.
I don't
Have
care.
we ever seen him in a Celtics throwback, or I don't know, a Celtics T-shirt that wasn't like a workout shirt?
One time I remember I criticized the Kobe thing on Twitter and everyone's like, look at this. And they showed him wearing like a Celtics warm-up getting off a plane. I'm like, yeah, that's a friggin' Celtics warm-up.
That's his uniform.
It's just part of they give him that. He didn't choose to wear it. Every time he goes to style it or he wants to go out and do his thing, he's wearing, other people's colors.
But does anyone in the league
that popular picture of Kobe in the Celtics workout shirt. It's like, yeah, he was working out for the Celtics.
Here's the thing. Is it the biggest deal in the world? No, but it's so easy to do the thing you're supposed to do instead of the thing you're not supposed to do. And like, all it takes is one person to tell you, like, don't wear the Kobe shit, dude.
You mean the home opener when everyone
like,
had Celtics pride coming in and he had like a Jordan shirt?
Yeah, have it, but don't wear it, and like definitely don't put it on social media.
We talked about this. The Kobe thing, like that would have been a weird thing to tell him not to do, just because of what it was. 75th,
oh no, I don't
like
think anyone thinks it's weird. Yeah, it's just like, why doesn't he do the other?
I would tell him.
I understand,
like,
honor, like your favorite player
I understand,
ever?
like. No, I get that's why I get like he's your like
who died a year ago,
grew up idolizing and all that stuff. I get it, but like it's just like I take you back to the movie Celtic. Yeah,
any Celtics, seriously. And
my God,
back to the movie like
Jesus.
There were like 30 people who were affiliated with the Celtics on that 75 list. You know, like it was hard to not pick a Celtic.
Yeah.
It's hard to not pick a guy who played a little.
Put on Pierce's jersey. That would have been cool.
Right? Yo,
Put
Tatum,
on Pierce's
if you want,
jersey.
man, you can borrow this if you want. It's a little small on you.
Yeah.
But
there you go.
Bobby's got like
Inglewood.
4 Horfords.
I don't know if you know this, but this is actually Paul Pierce's high school jersey. Tatum, this is it's really cool. He's a really good.
Bobby's
check out some
using the
Paul Pierce
calm money.
highlights, and
Yeah, Bobby's using the calm money to go get a City Horford right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's face it, guys.
Patch.
Come on, let's call it what it is. Jason grew up rooting against the Celtics. All right, that's what it is. Like people could say that, you know, that doesn't mean that he doesn't want to.
So did Pierce. Remember Pierce?
The two go hand in hand, but the fact that he grew up not liking the Celtics, I think it's oozing through that he can't even. You know, you won't see him wearing any Celtics attire unless he's working.
Here's the thing: Pierce was a contemporary of Kobe's. If Pierce grew up at Tatum's age in LA and then landed with the Celtics, you don't think Pierce would have been doing what Tatum's doing now?
Didn't Tatum grow up in where'd Tatum grow up?
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I get what you're saying, Bobby.
No, but I'm saying Pierce grew up in LA.
Don't rock
he
the
was
Bob
I get what you're
Pettit.
saying, but Bobby, after a couple of years, he changed.
the
Yeah,
Bob
he would wear
Pettit
throwbacks.
Yeah,
he would have conversations with Bill Russell. He would talk with Tommy. Like,
well, that's the difference now.
No, I'm saying Pierce was a contemporary of Kobe, so like he didn't look up to Kobe. If he was born after Kobe and grew up watching him, he would have been a huge Kobe fan because he grew up in LA. So it's just kind of a different time and a different setup for Tatum. Like, what's Tatum gonna do? A Larry Bird? Like,
you think Pierce?
Why not?
You think Pierce growing up in LA did not have Lakers to look up to? Are you kidding me?
He did, but it's like a different situation. Remember he talked about like, oh, I went to the Celtics, like I roll because he was a Lakers fan.
Yeah, that was when he was.
Could you imagine Pierce wearing a friggin' Magic Johnson jersey
coming into the Garden?
Coming into the Garden.
But see, that's the thing, John. It's like it's different.
You're like
now.
Making the point.
Now
Never
you can.
in a million years.
Now you can't imagine that all the time.
Yeah.
Right? It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen, but now it happens. And it's a fashion thing, and I get it, and it's fine if it's fashion. I'm cool with it. But for me, it was just like, okay, like you're putting on the Lakers jersey and you're like reenacting a very like Lakers moment. And obviously, it was a great Kobe moment. It's just it can't, what I said at the time was it can't sit that well with Celtics fans, like diehard Celtics fans. Like you wouldn't want to see it.
Yeah,
it's not a great thing to see. It's not a great thing to see. You can understand why Jason Tatum led Kobe Bryant, but it's still not a great thing you want to see.
You can do it, but maybe don't do it. It's that easy.
Look, I don't mind that.
I don't even mind that he did it. I don't even mind that he did it. It's just that like
I don't mind it whatsoever. I just want to see a little Celtic or just some Boston pride, a little bit, just a little bit. A little Boston pride. Hey,
the
Boston,
difference
I'm
now.
your guy. This is my city. Something like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So Josue, what the difference now is when Pierce was going through as a young kid all the way up till he got traded, all those Celtics legends and everything was like indoctrinating him.
Magic didn't wear a Celtics shirt. Magic did a Larry Bird retirement ceremony.
Why would he do that?
Snuck the Bird jersey as a sign of respect.
Right.
Totally different.
Completely
but
different.
We're ignoring the context. Why would Magic wear it? Why would Magic look up to anyone on the Celtics? We know why. Kobe, I think we kind of lose sight of it.
Magic and Bird, they were like best friends.
I know, but we understand why Tatum and many people, it's not just Tatum. Kobe's a mammoth in basketball history.
Yeah, totally. Much bigger than Magic or Kareem.
I think like he's right up there, if not bigger,
I
for
mean,
people my
For me,
age.
it's less about Kobe. It's more about, again,
Of course.
Celtic
Who's
pride,
arguing
Boston
that?
pride. Like, that's all it is.
I'm just
Nobody's
saying the
arguing
context
Kobe's
of it
not
makes
popular.
yeah, but
Like,
the
put it this way:
context
when he
of it
comes
makes
in,
sense.
repping St. Louis, everything. Obviously, no one's gonna say anything, but it's just like the next day you come in with a bunch of Lakers stuff or whatever. Like,
I guess what John
let's-
said
let's
because when
just-
was
I don't see it on social
let's-
media at
Let's
all.
save
Like,
this
hey,
and
I'm
see
a
what he wears
Celtic.
to the Garden
Like,
Friday, okay?
Listen,
Alright.
it's Bobby. It's not that we're like can't figure out why he would do it. It's just that it can't be something that you're pumped to see. If you're a Celtics fan, why can't you admit that?
I know. You see that on social media and your eyes kind of go like
Right.
No,
but
I
you
see it
can't.
in my own eyes. And,
You can't like that because that is a team that could totally want to make a play for Tatum at a point in his career where he's able to make
But
that
did-
decision, and he
okay.
wants to go back and.
But that's where I
I'm
make
ending
the
this conversation and I'm ending this show.
last thing.
All right.
Last thing. That's kind of the difference between it. Like Kobe's not there to learn now. Like it's a history thing. But anyway, we'll talk about it again on Friday.
Okay, we got a game Wednesday and a game Friday, and we'll see what people wear then. Until then, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We went off the rails there a little bit. At least we didn't talk about pickles.
All because I said
Or
I wonder
pizza.
what I shouldn't have said.
I think the fans would have
Or
wanted.
I
Josue's
shouldn't have said what
pizza.
jersey is he going to wear. I
Oh.
shouldn't have said that.
Josue, you want to do a minute
Don't
on
even
your
get me
pizza?
started.
Josue got done dirty. I tell
Yo,
you.
stashes. We're gonna talk tomorrow. Stashes. We'll talk
Okay.
to you.
Go and pick it up next
Stash
time.
is on
Josue.
blast.
What's the
It's the
opposite of
delivery
an
guy,
endorsement?
man.
Yeah.
Now I feel bad.